There's one type of man who totally separates himself from the more common social and behavioral archetypes. In this video, we're going to talk about what sets him apart and why he's highly sought after by others. Let's dive in. What's up, folks? Grandison Chines here with the League of Prestigious Gentlemen, and today we are going to be talking about social and behavioral archetypes. We're going to talk about 5 of them. One is totally separate from the others. He's highly sought after. But before we dive into the content, let's talk about what we do here at the League of Prestigious Gentlemen. As we start off, look, we need to make sure that we are our self-leaders. So we create the man who can be trusted to lead himself first. So how do we do that? Well, we help men develop the standards, the skill sets, and the self-leadership that's required to become a purpose-driven gentleman. Every gentleman is purpose-driven, and we have certain programs that they enable us to do that. So the big payout, what we really look for is the success in the areas of professionalism, success in terms of the personal success, and the success in terms of success in society, representing the 12 pillars of life. So when we look at the 12 pillars of life, look at this graphic here, you see that there are 12 overarching pillars that every man will go through. These 12 arches, or these pillars of life, never go away. So imagine if you had success in each one of these areas. Well, that's the outcome of our program here at the League of Prestigious Gentlemen. Very formidable program. But we talk about being a gentleman, and trust me, that journey is not easy. It's the one that is sought after the less. So if we had to look at, sought after and decided less. So if we had to look at how an organization is structured like a pyramid, so is the social archetypes and behavioral archetypes that we're talking about. At the peak, we have the gentleman, as we'll see here later on, but then there are other social archetypes that filter throughout our society. And the gentleman has the more rigorous, and this is why I believe it's one of the least sought after, it has a very rigorous journey to it. And remember, these 12 areas that I just exposed to you here, these 12 areas have a lot to do with all the experiences that you're going to share with other people in life. From parenting, from the social aspect of interacting with other people, from the relationship aspect of things, the financial aspects of things. Again, imagine having a high level of success in all these areas. Now, we're not perfect, but we can achieve this in our particular life, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's dive into our content, and we're talking about gentlemen. We're talking about why the gentleman transcends common behavioral archetypes. And as we're going through our information that we have on today, we're going to expose these in 4 different categories. First of all, we're going to talk about the archetype. Then we'll talk about the primary drive for that particular archetype. And then we're going to talk about the strength or the flaws that this particular archetype has. Sometimes there's both. Well, there's always both. But we're going to accentuate the ones that's more prevalent, and then we're going to talk about the outcome. At the end of the day, it's all about the outcome that we can desire to have and that we can produce. It's all about the outcome. There's only one way to get the outcome, and the way we teach our frameworks here, that will produce the outcome, because there's a process, there's people, processes, and systems. The processes being even the systems can be the framework, and we have sometimes there's an interlacing of the two, because one may be technological, the other one may be something that is more of a standard or standard operating procedure or process on how we do things. Either way, when you have a framework, you can produce pretty much a predicted outcome. And when you get to that level in life, and you can damn near predict your success in certain areas by abiding by certain principles. So let's go ahead and dive into it. All right, so here we go. So we know this first one here. Everyone's very familiar with this first one, who is the nice guy. The nice guy. And what does he do? His primary drive is approval seeking. He needs that validation from other people. And some of you may have had this experience. You're that nice guy that's out there, and you're that guy that's seeking the approval. Oftentimes it's from the opposite sex, but also it's from the same men that you deal with, because you may have a relationship in business, you may have a relationship in some sort of professional capacity. And so this guy tends to be used a lot, though. We all know this nice guy. There's very little reciprocation from what this person hands out and or dishes out to other people, even though he may be the one who is being trampled on. Oftentimes this guy is a sycophant. He's the yes man. He's the one that doesn't want any conflict, as we see here. He's the one that avoids conflict. And so he'll do that at the sacrificing of his authenticity, of his personality and his true being. That is not the way to be. And so how other people perceive this, the outcome is that there's a weakness. They do take this guy's kindness for weakness. And we've heard that little adage, don't take my kindness for weakness. Well, for the nice guy, mainly he gets his kindness taken, subjected under the auspice of being weak. And he does this because he doesn't have the rigidity. We talk about balance. He doesn't have the rigidity. He's too flexible. The opposite of flexibility is what? Rigidity. And this guy needs to have the rigidity to say no oftentimes, or to make amends by a BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement, or something like that. But oftentimes this guy is giving away his power, he's giving away his authority, because he's too nice and he doesn't have the rigidity to take it back. So we know that nice guy. Let's dive into the second one. The second one we have here, you also know this guy here, very, very common. He's the alpha. He's the guy that we see most of the time, and he's the one that's probably, and he might not be the loudest in the room, but he's definitely more controlling. This guy seeks dominance. This is his primary drive, dominance. He wants to dominate in every single area. Not does he just want to win, he wants to dominate. So we have some of his core flaws and strengths here is that he focuses on control to a detriment most of the time with the alpha guy. Some strong alpha, type A alphas, testosterone driven men, masculine men, oftentimes very, now they're very successful as well, but oftentimes they're very, very controlling. And oftentimes whoever they're dealing with on the side for men and women, with the people who are adjusted and aligned with their purpose, the alpha guy doesn't win all the time. You can have alpha-like tendencies in terms of the drive. You can have alpha-like tendencies in terms of the status, not necessarily status seeking, but it's given to the last type that we're going to talk about. But this guy focuses on control, status, and definitely winning. He wants to win in every single thing. That is not a bad thing. So you can adopt that as one of your primary drivers and outcomes as well. But the outcome oftentimes makes others feel small. That's the unfortunate piece, especially when you interlace control with it. Because you can have control and not make you feel small, but the type of dominance and control this person has, oftentimes it's an umbrella of control or making this other person feel small because they have to be bigger in that aspect. So that's where this particular guy gets his power. Let's talk about the next one. The next one is the rebel. This is a guy that rebels on everything. You say go left, he said no, we're going right. You say let's go up, he said no, let's go down. Just rebels just to rebel. So he rejects the rules. This guy rejects the rules. He rejects the mandates. He rejects the processes. He wants to color outside the lines in most areas. And that could be in society, that could be very abrasive, because people tend to step away from these type of people because they're such, even the outlaws, right? They're very, very rebellious. The gangsters, the pushers, dope dealers, these type of guys, right? They're rebellious. They don't pretty much care about the laws most time when you come right down to it. Strength and his core flaw, right? Defines himself by what he opposes. That is where he has his self-image and what he opposes. When it comes right down to it, he looks himself in the mirror and he will see himself as the guy who just takes the bull by the horn and opposes everything, because it might be because he may thinks that other people are against him as well. So he takes a very, very strong stance, and the outcome is oppositional just to be opposing, oftentimes for no reason. For no reason. And so what this person has to do is the adjustments, but they very, very rarely get to the point of making the necessary adjustment to become who he's supposed to be. And that's a detriment to this particular personality, this person. Let's look at the last one. The performer. This guy here seeks attention. He needs the attention. He needs the approval as well. Sometimes they go hand in glove. This guy's definitely the loudest person in the room, for sure. Definitely the loudest person. He might not have on the loudest clothing, but he definitely has the most pronounced attitude, for sure, 100%. Definitely has the most loudest voice. Sorry about that. Definitely has the loudest voice. And this voice carries way beyond his local area of who he's talking to. So if he's talking at a table, the other tables, trust me, the ones that are around him, they're going to know that he's there. He's that loud guy. He has to be that showy type of person, that boisterous attitude, larger than life kind of thing. And when that happens, others tend to pull back. Sometimes he embarrasses the other ones. It's like, man, you got to calm down. You're too loud. So his confidence is built on people's applause and approval of him. That's the only place he gets his confidence. And that's where he resides in his comfort by the others who are applauding him or praising him at that time. And that's a detriment also, because his self-worth relies in what other people say, other people around him says about him. That's where he gets his self-worth. His self-worth is always, always, always tied to other people and what they say to him about him in a positive manner. It's the only place he gets his applause. Now let's finally look at the true one, the last one, I should say. This is the real last one, but this one's separate. This one's separate from the more common. The four that we spoke about earlier are the common. This one here is not so common. This one also takes the most rigor in terms of this journey. This one takes the most decision making in terms of understanding how to project and present yourself out in public, the personal, social, professional as well. So what does this guy do? He seeks alignment and impact. This guy wants to make an impact in other people's lives. It's not going to be loud. He may have on clothing that gets attention, but that may be as loud as it gets if he has on something that's different, separated from anyone else. This is a guy, most likely he won't blend into the crowd. He's going to stand out. And he makes an impact. And people, you'll see, because people most likely coalesce around this particular guy, this gentleman, and just spark up a conversation out of the blue for no reason. And that's very telling to the gentleman himself, that he has a very thought-provoking mindset that provokes others to speak to him. All well and good, because this then furthers the relationship in terms of gratifying other types of opportunities that may present themselves. All right, so what does he do? He evaluates the rules and creates the value. He evaluates the rules. Are they fair? Are they just? Are they standard? Right? Those types of opportunities, but also he's about creating value. He has to create value in other people's lives. He doesn't feel right if he doesn't create value in others' eyes. And this is one of the 12 areas of blank that we have. So we have the 12 areas of success, but we also have the 12 areas of adding value. These same 12 areas where you should add value. These same 12 areas that we saw earlier at the beginning are the same areas where you should have a high level of confidence. These are the same areas where you should have a high level of competence. So this guy is all about having or providing value in those 12 areas. That's how he makes his impact. He's focused on others, but he knows that he also has to be the best self so that he can be better for others. And then finally, what's the outcome? Leadership built on helping others become who they are supposed to become. That's what it's all about. How can I help you be better in life and do better in life? How can I help you become even greater than you already are in your life. And there's always an adjustment in one of these 12 areas because none of us have them perfected. We may have a high level of success in these areas, but they're not perfected. But can you get better? Absolutely. Because why? Why does this gentleman have such an infatuation with that? Because he's always continuing to learn. He's always about learning more. One of the most popular aspects, or I should say a trait of a gentleman, is this continuously learning opportunity. Always learning, because they want to add value to other people, not just to themselves. All right, folks, that's the video for today. If you want to make sure that you get all the information when we are, oh, by the way, here's a full totality of the graphic, right? You can get this graphic. If you are part of the Forge, you got this graphic into your course information there. The vaults, that's where we have the vault where all the course information is. This is a bunch of information that we add. We continue to add new information every week. Also, I did put this on our Facebook group, the private Facebook group that's just for men. So men, if you're watching this, join the League of Prestigious Gentlemen private Facebook group. Here's the information right here. LPG, the movement on Facebook. There's a page and there's a group. Men, you can join the group. Ladies, you can follow us if you want to on the page, because that's where I do talk to ladies and give them information about how to acquire a gentleman. Most women, I'm convinced, have never dealt with a gentleman. That's a conversation for another time. But also, if you're ready to make sure you want to become, if you decide you want to take on this journey, do click the link in the bio. At the bio there, go to leagueofprestigegentlemen.com and click on book a call on our website. And you can talk with yours too. We have that gentleman to gentleman conversation and find out what it is you want to do. All right, folks. Thank you again for watching the video. Follow us on social media. Until next time, Grandison Shine signing out. All right, bye.